Hello and welcome to episode 96 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a good almost 2 weeks. It's not been quite 2 weeks since I last recorded, but very close. I did intend to record a little sooner than this, but things just happened. That's part of the reason why I said I wasn't going to be on a regular schedule, just because I didn't know how things were going to go day to day. I did intend to record on Monday, but I had a horrible sleep and was just exhausted. Same with Tuesday, and then yesterday I was hoping to squeeze it in between some errands, and then I had an ultrasound in the afternoon, and I just did not have time. So here we are today. It's Thursday. It's a beautiful sunny day outside. I can see spring is on the way. I'm sure we're still going to have some, winter weather here and there, but the signs are there. I can hear birds chirping. The snow is melting. It's just spring is coming, which is really, really nice. So I hope you had a nice 2 weeks, but I have a lot to share with you today. I have some finished objects. I have work in progress. I've worked on a project that I haven't touched in a while. I have a whole bunch of things that I want to get started on. I have the monthly winner for February, and then I wanted to do some updates. I have my February goals update plus my goals for March, and then I wanted to do a bingo update. So that is a lot to cover. It should be a beefy little episode. So let's get started with the monthly winner. So if you are a new viewer, every month I take the comments from any of the comments made on any video in a given month count as an entry, as well as any items purchased in my shop in a given month count as an entry. And at the end of the month I take all those entries and I use random number generator to pick one winner, and that winner receives a $20 coupon to my shop. It is just my way of thanking you for engaging in my channel and supporting my channel and supporting my shop. So I did the RNG for this month, and the winner was Cheryl Arnett. And you have been a long time viewer and supporter of this channel, Cheryl, and you comment every single week, and I so appreciate it. I look forward to your comments and our little mini conversations. So you are the winner this month. I know you know how to contact me. So let's get started with the knitting. I'm going to go right into finished objects, and before I share my DVD project, because that's usually what I show first, I'm going to do kind of like a little update project. So if you remember, I think last episode I showed how I had finished the octopus, the little chenille crocheted octopus toys that I was making as part of the baby sets that I am putting together. A little girl baby set and a little boy baby set, because we currently do not know the gender of the baby. And oh my goodness, can I just say it is coming up really, really quickly. Basically in a month. In a month we need to be all ready to go. And yeah, Avery is at the point where she's asking like day to day how many days are left, and yeah. But yeah, I'm planning on doing another baby update soon, and we can talk about it more then. But holy moly, time is ticking really fast. So I've got these two little baby sets that I've made, boy set and girl set. And last episode I showed you that I had finished the little girl octopus and the little boy octopus, and at that time they did not have faces, and I had asked you if you thought I should leave them faceless or put faces on them, and it was kind of mixed. A lot of people said that toys should have faces on them. A lot of other people said it didn't matter. So what I decided to do was just try it. I mean, the worst case, it didn't look good, and then I would just snip the faces off. But I think they turned out pretty cute. So I used the black chenille yarn, and we have been joined by a Mr. T. He was up here earlier, and then he went away, and I thought, okay, good, he's gone, and he's going to go do his own thing and leave me alone today. But he is back. I do have his blanket ready, so we'll just have to see if he settles down. So for right now, he's right on all my stuff, so let's give him a minute. Oh my goodness, he is being difficult today. First he was trying to steal some of the yarn off the table, and then he was trying to climb and cuddle on my lap. There is no room on my lap. He was very determined. I was trying to get him on his mat. He did not want to go on his mat. Then he was trying to lie down on some of my finished objects. He is currently in a spot that will work if he stays there, so we will see. Anyway, as I was saying, I ended up adding some faces to the little octopus toys. And like I said, if I didn't like them, I was just going to pick them out. But I think they turned out pretty cute. I tried to do something very similar to the pattern photo, and I think it looked really nice. So I just took some of the yarn. I had the same chenille yarn in black. I took a nice big long thread. I went up through the bottom. You can see the little bit there. I went up through the bottom to about where I wanted the first eye. I did the little, stitching for the first eye, moved over, did the mouth, and then did the other eye, and then I came back out around the same area that I went in with the first thread, and then I tied them together and then kind of pushed them back, went with the needle back up through the toy. So they should be pretty secure. And yeah, now this little set is done. I already have the hats. I've been starting to make a little pile in preparation for the hospital bag. I have been gathering items, so that is in progress. But the hats are in that little pile. I don't think I'm going to bring the octopus to the hospital. I don't think I need it I'm only going to be there for max a couple of days. So I don't think I'm going to bring both of those with me, but I am bringing the hats. But these will go upstairs in the room, and then when we come back, we can pick. You'll see a picture, I'm sure, on Instagram of which octopus and which hat we end up using. So that was just a little finished object update, and now we're going to go into my usual Desert Vista Dye Works project update. So I ended up finishing my February Desert Vista Dye Works socks. I said last episode I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I had the first sock done. I was on the foot of the second sock. I think I was just about to start the toe, so I wasn't worried. And here they are. They are finished. So again, I made these for my brother. These are a gift pair for this Christmas. I like to try and get those done early in the year so I don't have to worry about them. The color is lions and tigers and bears, and I just used what has become my standard vanilla pattern. So I like to cast on 72 stitches when I'm doing socks for the men in my life, and I do a 2x1 rib, plain stockinette. I add in the triangular shaped heel that I've kind of modified from the Jangles sock pattern. I've lately been really enjoying doing reverse stockinette in that increase section. It makes it easier for me. I don't need to put stitch markers in to mark where I'm doing my increases and decreases. It's very visual, so I've been enjoying doing that. You do your decreases, your foot, your toe, etc. But I did also do the reverse, where after I finish the first sock, I rewind the cake, and so that the second sock has the stripes going in the opposite direction. So those are done. They can go in my gift cupboard, and yeah, I only have one more pair of brother socks to do, and those I actually will be able to do as Desert Vista Dye Works socks as well. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that because I didn't really have any other colors in my stash that were kind of guy appropriate, but I got my prize skeins from participating in the challenge last year, and the exclusive skein for those who finished the entire year is a little more muted than it seems. So when I have been seeing pictures being posted of the exclusive skein, and it seems almost like there was two different batches. It's either that or the color, because you know how sometimes people's pictures, the color isn't always representative of what it looks like in real life. But I see some pictures where the colors are a lot more vibrant, and then there's other pictures where it looks more muted, more autumn tones, and the one I received was a bit more muted. So I think it will actually work for my last brother that I need to knit for. So I will be able to include another gift pair in the challenge this year, which is really exciting. So that is my next finished object. I have two more finished objects. So one I have here to show you, and then one is just really big, and so I'll insert a picture. So we will go with the one that I can show you. So I finished my baby vertebrae cardigan. This is one of the projects that I really wanted to have done before the baby came, because it's one of the few actual newborn sized patterns that I'm going to be knitting. Probably everything else I'm going to knit is going to be 3 months or up, especially since we're going into summer and I don't really need to knit a lot. there goes Mr. T, so we should be good from here on in. But yeah, we're going into summer, and I don't think I'm going to have to knit very much over the summer, so any knitting I'm going to be doing is going to be preparing for winter knits, and so we're looking at, you know, 6 months and up. So this is one of the only newborn sized patterns that I wanted to do, and it is finished. I think last time I showed it to you, I had finished the body. So I had done all the collar ribbing, and the body was done, and I think I just had to do the sleeves, and the sleeves really didn't take very long, so I got those done in about 3 days maybe. But yeah, this little sweater is finished. So I only did a couple of modifications just to try and squeeze out a little bit more wear. This is a free pattern, and it's only newborn sized. The designer does have additional sizes that are paid for, but one of the things I did is I did a few more increases. I think I did 2 more rounds of increases when I was working on the raglan increases, just to make the sleeve a little wider and also the back just a little bit wider. And then the sleeves I made longer. So the pattern directions said to knit the sleeves from the total length of the sleeve from the underarm was supposed to be 12 centimeters to the cuff, the end of the cuff. And what I did is I knit the stockinette portion to 12 centimeters, and then I did a nice long ribbed cuff. So the idea for me is, I'll just roll them up here. So there we go. So rolled up, it's about the length that the pattern stated, and then as the baby grows, I can kind of roll it back down, and hopefully I can get a little bit more wear out of it. So just instead of just 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe I can get a little bit more. So that is done. I'm really happy with how this color knit up. The yarn is Unwind Yarn House, and the colorway is Let Them Eat Cake, and I just thought this would be a really nice kind of gentle neutral color that will go with a lot of, you know, cream items and gray items, and just be a really pretty layering piece. So that is done. So that is really exciting. That's another check mark off my baby knits list that I want to have done before baby arrives. And then my last finished object is actually something else that I wanted to have done before baby arrives. And again, I'm going to put a picture in because it's quite big, and I've already got it in place, and I didn't want to bring it over, and it wasn't going to look like very much anyway. But I finished the crochet baby mat. I showed it to you last time. I think I had just finished 1 ball's worth of crocheting into the piece. It was using some very, very thick, bulky, tightly plied yarn that I had in my stash. I've had it for several years, and I just wanted to make something with it. It's actually on my bingo card. I just wanted to make something with it, and what I decided to do was make kind of a utilitarian baby mat. So not necessarily a blanket. It's too dense for a blanket, but I've got this little area that I'm kind of setting up near our couch that is going to be like baby central. I have some baskets that have like the diapers and wipes and everything that I need within reach, and I just wanted to have this mat to put on top of the ottoman so that there was a layer there that would be easily cleaned and also add just a little bit of extra cushioning. So if I haven't already, I will have put in a picture kind of where it is on the ottoman. It actually ended up being, it's the perfect size for the empty space that was left after I added some of the baskets of the supplies and stuff. So I think last time I talked about it, I had said that I had 4 balls, and I thought I had more. And it's funny because after I had crocheted the 4 balls into the piece, I was debating on whether I still wanted to do the gray border, because I didn't really have anything in my stash to do it, and I didn't really feel like going out and buying an extra ball or 2 of yarn just to add a border on it. So I was going to kind of leave it. But then when I went to enter the project into Ravelry, because I put all my stash, like I enter all my stash, all my yarn goes into my stash, I know what I have. When I went to enter it and I put in that I used 4 balls, it said that I had 1 ball left, and I was like, what do you mean I have 1 ball left? I only found 4 when I, took this yarn out. So I had been keeping the yarn in my beaker bag there, and there is another yarn in there as well. So I went back there and I dug a little more, and sure enough I found a 5th ball. So what I decided to do was use that 5th ball to do a border, just to kind of finish it off. It's not the gray border that I originally thought I was going to do, but it still finished it off. It was fine. I was able to do about 3 rounds of a single crochet border just to kind of help it lay a little flatter, and then I was able to use all the yarn. So that is finished. It is in place. It is ready. I'm quite pleased that that is done. And I think that is all the finished objects I have for you this week. So now we are going to go into my works in progress. And let's start with my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks for this month. So for March, last episode I would have showed you the skein. I don't think it was quite March yet. And I showed you 2 skeins, and I was saying how they looked very similar. So I was planning on just picking one and making my March socks for Avery's teacher for her end of the year gift. I wanted to get them done early so I didn't have to worry about them. And what I ended up doing was showing the 2 skeins to Avery and just letting her pick. And it's funny because she looked at them and she's like, "Mommy, they're the exact same." And I was like, "I know they look the exact same, but they're not. Just pick one." And that's the one I will use. So she ended up picking out Sea Zombody, and she said it looked just a little bit brighter, and that's what I saw too. Like, I remember, if you remember, I commented how it looked like it had a little bit more purple. It might have just been a little bit more vibrant, and so that's the one that she wanted to pick for her teacher. So this is Sea Zombody. It's based on Ursula from The Little Mermaid in Susan's kind of a zombie colorway series. So the stripes, there's colored stripes that go along with the theme, and then there's some kind of variegated zombie stripes. So I am working pretty well on this first sock, considering all the other projects that I'm working on, and there's other projects that I want to cast on that we will talk about in my upcoming kind of plans. But my knitting mojo is kind of all over the place right now. So I haven't been working on these exclusively. And considering that, I'm still pretty comfortable with where I am. So here we have the first sock. And again, I'm just doing a vanilla sock. Her teacher's feet are the same size as my feet. So I am knitting these to kind of like what I do, my numbers and stuff when I knit socks for myself. So I started off with 81 stitches, do my 2x1 rib, and then I knit down, and then you'll see there's a little dent here. So I'm trying something a little different. When I did my January socks, I knit those for myself, and I tried decreasing the stitches down because I like a smaller foot than I like a leg. I tried decreasing the stitches down right before I started the heel increases. So on this side here, you can see I've already done the heel increases. So on my last pair of socks that I did for myself, I decreased the stitches along this row on either side, and they fit. They're probably the best fitting socks that I've made for myself so far. I've been wearing them a lot, and so that's probably what I'll do going forward for my socks, but I just wanted to try something different. So instead of doing the decreases along that row right before I started the heel increases, I did them on the sides for a few rows. So I ended up taking off, I think, 8 stitches before I went into the heel increases. So instead of having the little decrease blips that went across the sock there, it just goes in a little bit. So we'll just have to see how those look on. I don't know, but I'm sure they'll be fine. So I've decreased down to a smaller number in terms of the circumference, but now I am working through the increases for the heel, and again I'm doing the reverse stockinette panel. I just find that easy to do. Like I said, it's very visual. I can see what I'm doing, I can see where I am, I don't have to put markers in, and I actually just finished the I'm just finished doing all the increases, so I'm at the point now where I can start working back and forth and shaping the heel before going into the foot. And so this sock is I feel like it's in a good place. I've mentioned before that I like to try and have my first sock done by the middle of the month. We are not quite there yet, so I feel like by the middle of the month, if I don't have this sock done, it should be almost done. And then I have the second half of the month to get the second sock done, and March is a slightly longer month. So I'm still feeling pretty good about finishing these socks in time. So that is my progress on those. And then what else have I been working on? So I think next I'm going to show you the new cast on that I started, and then after that I'll show you a project from, it's been a languishing whip. I started it back in last year, and I was actually able to get a little bit of work on it in the last 2 weeks, so I'll show you that after. So the new project that I cast on is another project that I'd really like to have before the baby comes. If you'll remember when I was talking about the baby vertebrae before, I had mentioned that I was going to have some leftover yarn, and what I was hoping to do with that was make some baby knee socks from a pattern that I've had in my library for quite some time. Many years ago I made a pair for a baby swap that I did, and I just remembered it being a really, really fun pattern, and I wanted to try knitting them again. So if I had enough yarn left over from the baby vertebrae, I wanted to make some baby knee socks. And that's what I've done. Now, I did have to pause for a bit before casting these on. When I looked at the pattern and I looked at the yardage required, it was a little bit more than what I had left over from the sweater. So the pattern stated that I needed between 170 and 200 yards to make the baby socks. And when I looked through the project pages, it seemed like a lot of the socks that were made were kind of within that range as well. And I had 130 yards left over based on weight calculations from the sweater. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do because I didn't really want to start them and then run out of yarn. You work from the cuff down to the toe. Now I knew I could bring in a contrast yarn for the foot portion of the sock, but another thing I noticed when reading through the comments is that sometimes the proportion of the sock was off on certain babies. So obviously babies are born all different sizes, they have all different lengths, they're all different, widths, whatever. And some of the comments were that when the knee sock was put up, because there is a shaping to the knee portion so that it sits right on the knee, sometimes when that knee was in the right place, the leg either wasn't the right length or the foot wasn't the right proportion. So the foot might have been way too big for the baby's foot even though it fit the knee portion, or once the baby fit the foot portion, then the knee part wasn't quite in the right spot. So I decided that with my yarn limitations and these kind of sizing things, the points to think about, that I was going to make it more of a knee leg warmer. I had mentioned that I was thinking of making the feet of the socks open so that there'd be a little bit more flexibility, but with the way that it's constructed, which is actually a really, really cool way that it's constructed, I would like to make another pair where I do the foot, but the way it's constructed, it would be very difficult to just kind of leave the toe open. It's kind of constructed where you do the instep and then you pick up and you go down. So I just decided to follow the pattern as is, and see how far my yarn went. So what I did is I took what I had left over, the 130 grams, and I divided it into 2 balls. So this is the second ball. I've already knit through the first ball, and that way I was going to see, because it started at the knee, I was going to do it as the pattern stated, do the knee shaping, see how far I could get with that first ball, and if I needed to bring in another yarn I would, but then at least I had the same amount of the main yarn for both socks. So it is knit flat. It is a really quick and fun pattern. So I finished the first one. I haven't seamed them together because I wanted to show it to you how it looks like off the needles. But you start up at the ribbing here, and then you do all this short row shaping. It's very simple. The whole thing is done in garter stitch, and then you just knit, 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 knit. Where these markers are here, there's some decreases, and then right here is where I would have started the foot shaping. So this would have been like a little sock foot, but instead what I decided to do was a kind of a long ribbed cuff. And so when I sew this together, this is what it's going to look like. So this part here fits over the baby's knee and just a little bit above, and because of the garter stitch, it's quite stretchy, which I think will help with the fit. There's a little bit of shaping there, and then what I'm thinking is that this part here will just fit over the foot. Now I have no idea how long the legs are going to be. So hopefully this will fit over the foot. My idea is to layer it over either little socks or, you know, like what are they called? Not the short-sleeved onesies, but the sleepers. So to either layer it over sleepers or layer it over little baby socks to help them kind of stay on the foot, so that this will cover most of the foot, but you know, some of the foot might peek out. But as the baby's leg grows, this will just become more of a cuff that goes higher, so it will become more of a leg warmer. But the other thing, and when I looked back at my project that I did a number of years ago, one of the comments I made was that the finished socks seemed quite narrow, and these do. Like I think these look like they would fit like newborn little legs. And I had made the comment that, you know, I would make them again, but maybe try a sport weight yarn. And I had even considered making these in sport weight right off, even though like I really wanted a pair that matched the sweater because it's a newborn sweater and I want newborn socks. But I have some sport weight in my stash, but I didn't really have anything that was kind of neutral enough. I actually have another Unwind Yarn Company yarn in the really pretty kind of cherry red, so it's kind of a pinkish red. And I think if it's a girl, I might consider making a little sweater and some new little leg warmers or knee socks in that, because it's a sport weight. It will make it just a little bit bigger. But for now, I just thought, you know what, a newborn size is fine. So I think these will be okay. And you know what, even if they're not, it's a fun knit. This is one of those things where it's a fun knit, it's a quick knit. I did most of this in one afternoon. I think, you know, by the time Avery gets home, there's stuff going on, there's homework, there's dinner, there's all this stuff. So I think it had to carry over into a second day just to finish the bottom part. But otherwise, this was a really, really quick knit. The shaping is really fun, especially if I had done the foot and all the shaping that had to do with there. It's a fun knit, it's a quick knit. So it's one of those things that if it doesn't end up getting used, you know, for a long period of time, I don't feel like it's really a loss because I really enjoy the process of making it versus something that is, you know, very time intensive and complicated, but then doesn't get used for very long. So I'm okay with that. I'm gonna make the second one, and hopefully they'll work enough for at least the first little while, and maybe some pictures or something like that. But yeah, these are going to be kind of a little baby knee sock leg warmer thingamabobs. So I've got one done, and I've got my yarn all set up to make the second one. Once I get that going, I'll have those done probably by the next time for sure. So finally, the last thing I worked on, I think this was something that was back on my like January goals. I wanted to work on these socks, and I never worked on these socks. And I figured out the way to get some work on it was to bring them to a different location. So I have kind of a little setup on my couch. I've been spending a lot of days on the couch lately just because it's the most comfortable place to be. I'm not finding regular chairs to be very comfortable. The chair at my desk, I used to spend a lot of time at my desk doing things and I would knit there. It's just not comfortable sitting there. So the couch is really the place that I'm the most comfortable. So I've got this whole little area set up with all my project bags and the projects that I currently want to work on. And when I had these socks there, I just never was reaching for them. It was always the other projects that I wanted to work on more. So what I decided to do was bring this project upstairs because lately in the evenings, what we've been doing is after dinner, all three of us will go upstairs and Dennis and Avery will play some video games or do something else, and I will be it's all in the room, the baby room. And while they're doing that, I will kind of work on the baby room. I've been going through boxes. A friend of ours gave us a whole bunch of baby stuff. It was really quite generous of them. So I've been going through boxes. I've been sorting things out. We got a shelf for the baby room. I've been putting and sorting books away. We installed curtains recently, so we've been doing little bits and pieces every night in the baby room. And I can only do so much before, you know, I just need to take a break. So what I'll do is I'll work a little bit on sorting and unpacking and stuff, but then I'll sit and I'll work on this project. And just working a little bit every night on this project, I've been making some pretty decent progress. So like I feel really good that this project is getting some love again because I really do enjoy it. And the project I am talking about are my micro stripe socks. So I think I started these back November last year. I was hoping to get them done in December. That didn't happen, and I really haven't touched them since. So the last time I showed these to you, this is where I was. So I've been able to, just by working on them a little bit every night, I've been able to finish the first sock, and I've been able to start the second sock. So I'll just show you here. I have the cuff of the second sock finished, and I can go into now joining the contrast yarn and starting the micro stripe pattern. So this is what I'm talking about with the micro stripe pattern. So basically what I'm doing is alternating this semi-solid sparkle teal yarn with a sock blank. Now this is a different form of sock blank, but it still kind of unravels like a sock blank. So this is the yarn that I'm using here, and the yarn is kind of like in this tube that you then pull from like a sock blank. And I really like the effect that it gives when you combine the solid with the changing sock blank. Now I got that yarn several years ago as part of a yarn crawl. I don't know if you can get it anywhere, but if you watched my Vlogmas episodes when I did my little Knit Picks yarn haul, you would have seen that I picked up some of this Hawthorne sock reels. I picked up one of these. This is pretty much the same thing as the yarn that I'm currently using. So if that's something that you wanted to try, if that interested you, I checked and they still have these on the website. So basically what you're doing, I did my solid cuff, and then I join in the contrast yarn there, and you do helical knitting, and it's the easiest form of helical knitting. I know sometimes when people talk about helical knitting, they mention, you know, knitting around and then slipping stitches and then doing stuff like that. There's no slipping stitches with this. All you do is alternate yarns, but you just make sure not to cross them. So you'll knit a row with your contrast yarn, and when you come back to the beginning, you'll drop that yarn, pick up the other yarn, make sure they don't cross, knit around with that yarn, drop it, pick up the other one, again making sure not to cross the yarns, and knit around with that yarn. And I find that this technique goes by so quickly. It just seems like you go through your rows so quickly, so that when I'm actually working on this, I feel like there's a lot of progress. It's a really, really, really fun technique, and I really like how it ends up looking. So I cannot wait to start the second sock. I'm just about to join in the contrast yarn and get started on that. And yeah, I hope by continuing to do what I've been doing, where I just have them upstairs, I just work on them a little bit every day, that these socks will finally get finished too. And maybe by the time I finish them, I'll be able to wear them, because I have found now with my feet are just so puffy. If you've been pregnant before, you know all the fun stuff that you have to deal with. And yes, I have fat little sausage feet. Avery laughs at my little toes because they just, everything just looks so puffy, and by the end of the night, they are just so uncomfortable. But I'm finding the socks that I can wear right now are the one where I've done the triangular shaped heel. Those fit me the best. The socks that I've done with the German short row heel, which is what I used in these socks, they just don't fit right with the size and the shape of my feet at the moment. So maybe by the time I finish these socks, it'll be after the baby's born, my feet will have at least gone a little bit back to normal, and I can enjoy these socks. But for now, I'm having fun working on them in the evenings, and that's what I've been doing. So I think that is all I have for works in progress to share with you. And now we're going to get into upcoming knits. So I have been chomping at the bit to start some new projects. Like I said, my knitting mojo is all over the place, but there's a couple of projects that I really want to start that I anticipate starting by the next time I sit down and chat with you. So I'm going to share those with you now, and then we'll get into the goals update and the bingo update. So the first two projects I'm planning on doing use the same yarn. On my bingo card, I have that I want to make a baby hat, and yes, I realized that I made those two little stripy baby hats, but when I made my bingo list, that I had a vision for this hat. I really wanted to do kind of a teddy bear bonnet, or some sort of bonnet with little ears. And I had one picked out, but I decided that it wasn't quite what I wanted, and so I did another Ravelry research, and I did end up finding a pattern that I think really is what I am envisioning, and it is a paid pattern, but it's what I want, so I'm okay with that. And the yarn I want to use is some yarn from a project. If you remember this from last year, I haven't ripped this out yet, but I was making a sweater for my friend's little girl, and then just decided it wasn't what I wanted for her, so I just kind of put it aside and I started something else that I was much happier with. But I still have this yarn in my stash that I really want to use, and it's a beautiful cotton yarn. And because the baby's going to be born in April, obviously for the first couple of weeks we're probably not going to be going out very much, so by the time we are venturing out, it's still going to be cool. It really doesn't start to truly warm up here until like June. Like even May can be a little bit chilly. So even once we start going out for walks and stuff, the weather is going to be much better, but it's still going to be a little bit cool. So I thought this might be a nice way to use some of this cotton. So I want to make a hat with it, and then I want to make a little cardigan or a little shrug to kind of go with it. So the hat that I want to make is called the Tiny Treasure Baby Bonnet. And it's basically exactly what I wanted. It was a bonnet without ties. I wanted the bonnet shape so that it would go over the ears and the side of the face, but I didn't want ties, and so this just has a little strap. It also has ears, but they're not like big obnoxious ears, and it's got some unique shaping on the back to kind of fit it to the head. So I thought it was a really, really cute pattern. That's the hat I'm going to be making. I don't think that's a project that's going to take very long to do. And then I want to make a little cardigan to kind of go with it as a layering piece that I can layer over other items. And with the cream, I'm hoping that it will fit in very nicely with either wardrobe. So whether we're going with a little boy wardrobe or a little girl wardrobe, the cream will be a nice kind of layering piece for those first couple of months where, you know, the weather is getting warmer, but it's not quite like hot yet. So the sweater that I want to make is called Miss Daisy, and it's by one of my favorite child wear designers, Lisa Chemery. I did a lot of test knitting for her when Avery was little. Her patterns do go up to larger sizes, but I feel like the look of them suit younger girls more. That might just be because of Avery's style. Like they don't, her patterns don't suit Avery's style as an older child, but I really, really loved them when she was younger. So I'm excited to go through my library of her patterns again and pick out ones that I haven't made that I can make if the baby's a girl. We will see, but actually she does have quite a lot of patterns that would suit boys too. So I'm just excited to go through my patterns of hers that I can make now that there's another little person to knit for. So her pattern, Miss Daisy. Now, she states in the pattern description that it's like the perfect little pattern for little girls. While I do see some feminine, design elements to it, I don't think it's so feminine that a little boy couldn't wear it, especially a newborn little boy. I don't know if I would put it on an older boy, but I think a newborn little boy in a cream color, I think it's fine. And what I like about it is that it's like a little shrug, so it would be a really nice layering piece. I really like the little tab feature that they have to close it, and I think it will work well with the yarn that I have. And so I will have to do some size modifications because I believe the pattern calls for a worsted and this is a sport, so I think I'm just going to go up a size or two and see how that goes. But paired with the little bear hat, I think it's going to be a really cute kind of after newborn size. So you know, that maybe 0 to 3 months, I think it will be a really cute little pair to layer over things when we go out for walks. I remember going out for lots of walks when Avery was first, well, she was born in December, so maybe we didn't do lots of walks, but I do remember at some point when the weather was good, we went out for lots of walks. So I think that this set will be a really nice layering piece for all the walks that we're going to be doing. And then the last thing that I want to start, my last soon-to-be project, and this is going to be a quick one. I don't know what it is about making these little crocheted things, but they're so fast. I've decided to make another one. So if you know, I've made a cat mat for Mr. T. He joined us back, by the way, and he is currently on that mat, so he is being a good boy and he's on his mat. But I made him a mat out of the Bernat blanket chenille yarn. And then I made the baby mat out of that other yarn. And there's something about just crocheting a square or a rectangle that works up so quickly that is so satisfying that I decided I wanted to make a little blanket for like the car seat and just kind of like toting around. Like the size that Mr. T's cat mat turned out is the perfect size for going in one of like those bucket seats, and so I decided I wanted to make another one. And when I was at Walmart, I think last week, trying to pick up some items for the hospital bag, and I was in their craft section and I saw this. I just really enjoy this yarn. It's super soft, it's really easy to work with, it doesn't shed. That's one thing I'll say about the chenille yarn that I used for the octopus toys. I didn't really like how tufts of it would come off of that kind of center thread. This doesn't really shred, it washes really nicely, it's pleasant to work with, and one ball makes like the perfect little square blanket. So I saw this color and I just thought this was really pretty. So it might be a little bit on the feminine side. It's got some teal and it's got some beige in there, and then it's got some kind of mauve colors in there. But I mean, these work up so fast. If I have to make another one, I'll make another one. I just really like this particular color, so this is what I decided to get. And on a day that I feel like I just want something really fast and easy and like instant gratification, I could totally see starting this. So this, I would not be surprised if this is finished by the next time I talk to you. So those are the 3 projects that I want to start between now and the next time I record. Hopefully I'll have some more finished objects to show you as well. But now we are going to get into my goals update as well as my bingo card update. So if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my lists and stuff. We are going to start with the goals that I had for February. So I actually gave myself very few goals in February, coming off of January, which was a very unproductive month just because I was so sick. I didn't want to give myself too much, but February's ended up being a pretty good month. I've been feeling really good, actually. This is the best I've probably felt health-wise since the fall. So yeah, there's days where I'm tired, there's days where I'm uncomfortable, but in terms of my health, I have felt really good lately. So I only gave myself a few goals and I finished all my goals. So for February, I wanted to finish my February Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I did that. I wanted to finish the little baby girl sock hat. I did that. And I wanted to start the baby vertebrae. Well, I've actually finished that. So that is done. So the goals I've given myself for March are to finish my March Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I don't think that will be a problem. And then you know what, I decided I want to finish all the other projects that I'm going to start. I want to finish the baby hat, I want to finish the Miss Daisy sweater, and I want to finish the chenille blanket, because those are all projects that, while they don't need to be done before the baby gets here, I think they can be done. So I just made those the goals. I didn't add the baby knee socks on there because I pretty much know those are going to be done. So yeah, I decided to do the 3 new projects that I want to start, and a lot of them work towards bingo goals. So those are the goals that I chose for March. So now let's get into my bingo update. If you are a new viewer and you're not familiar, over at the Bling Your String group, I have a year-long Crafty bingo challenge. You can join in at any time, and basically you just say that you want to participate. I send you a link I create a card for you, I send you that link, you fill it in with whatever goals work for you, and that's what you work on for the rest of the year. So even though the year has already started, as long as you choose goals that you haven't completed yet, you are good to go. So by the end of January and even going into February, I really felt like I wasn't making a lot of progress on my card. But the last couple of projects that I've been working on have kind of completed 1 project squares, so I'm starting to see some progress and I'm starting to feel motivated about getting things done on my card. So I am going to, I think, shift over a little bit, and then I will put up a picture of the card so that you can kind of follow along with what I am saying. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully there'll be a picture of my bingo card up there. And if I'm looking down at my bingo card. So we're going to start up at the top left corner, and that's the baby knee socks. And you'll see that there's a little W there. It's just a little clip art picture that I picked so that if I'm working on a project, if it is in progress, that I can kind of mark it on there and I know it's in progress. So the baby knee socks are in progress. I don't think they're going to take very long to finish, and then that will be one square finish. The next one is a random baby knit, and technically I could put the baby blanket on there, I could do the Miss Daisy, so I might be able to finish that square shortly as well. Next is use 5 patterns acquired before 2020. So Miss Daisy can work for that as well. I haven't been getting a lot of those. There's 2 squares that have that goal on it, and a lot of the things that I've been making lately haven't been using patterns from my library, but I see that coming. I know there's other things that I want to make this year that will use patterns from my library, so I will start to make progress on that square. The next one is complete months 1 to 3 of the DVD challenge. I've done 2 of those. Once I finish my March pair, that square will get blocked off. The next 2 are make the light box sweater. So one for Avery and one for the baby. I've pretty much decided that I'm going to be waiting until after the baby comes to start these. I've been looking at yarn options. I know what color Avery wants. I was looking at the Knit Pick Stroll as a possible yarn option. And of course she picked out the hot pink, so I'm going to be doing them with gray as the kind of like the color that will be on both sweaters, and then each one will have a different contrast color. She picked out the hottest, brightest pink that Stroll makes for hers, and then I'm going to wait and see after the baby's born, and then I will pick a color for the baby and order all the yarn together. So those are those 2. Complete months 4 to 6. We are not there yet, but we will be there soon. Next was to make the baby vertebrae, and I have finished that, so I've knocked that one off. Fiber stash down to 2 bins. I have been feeling the itch to spin lately, and I've been very tempted to get the wheel out and put it near the couch so that I could just spin if I felt like it. But I feel like there's so many other projects that I'm working on right now that I really just need to like focus on those, and we'll do spinning in a bit. But I have been feeling the itch to spin. I could see that getting started, and my goal is just, I think I have 3 bins of fiber right now. I just want to get it down to 2, whether that's through using the fiber or destashing the fiber. I just want to get it down to a smaller amount. The next is make baby hat. So if I do that little teddy bear, the Tiny Treasures hat, I'm going to count that for that square. Complete an adult garment. I have some works in progress from last year that I could do. I have some projects or some patterns in my queue that I really like, so it could be a new one. Well, I think we can get there. Cross stitch project, that's going to be something I work on over the next couple months. I'm not worried about that just yet. And then I got 2, so there's the free space, and then there's 2 other squares I was able to complete with some of my projects. Make this chenille octopus, I made 2, and then make something with that bulky green and yellow kind of gray yarn. I made the baby mat, so I got that. And then the only other ones that I've worked on below that, make at least 4 pairs of gift socks. So I have the February Desert Vista Dyeworks socks for my brother are included in that. Once I finish the March ones, I will get another little check mark on one of those socks. And I think even my April pair are going to be a gift pair. So I will be working through that square over the next couple of months. And then the next one is, so something for Mackenzie. I've already decided what I want to make for her. So I'll talk about that. Her birthday's in June, so I'll have to get it done before then. But I know which pattern I'm going to use, and it's going to work towards my used patterns that I already have in my library. And I'm going to be using some fun colors because she really likes Wonder Woman. So I'm going to kind of be modifying this pattern to kind of look like a Wonder Woman sweater. It's going to be really fun. So I've got my plan for that. And then the only thing that I have more progress on is to finish 2 pre-2020 whips. So the first check mark that I have there is from the ribbed hat that I made for Dennis's friend. I finished that in January. And then if I finish my microstripe socks, that will be the second check mark, and I will be able to check that box off. That will be a completed box. And then below that, a lot of those are things that I know will happen in towards the end of the middle and the end of the year. Again, another random baby knit. I could probably squeeze that one out in the next little while, but everything else I know are things that are going to be towards the end of the year. Like the pottery piece will probably go, Avery and I will probably go maybe for some Christmas gifts. The gift bags for Christmas, that's going to be more of an end of the year thing, and then the rest of the Desert Vista Dye Works socks will obviously be more towards the end of the year. So that is where I am with my bingo card so far. I would love to know how your bingo card is going. If you haven't checked out the group lately, there are just posts of flying of everybody's progress and what they're making. It's a very inspirational thread to check out even if you're not participating. But I think that's it for this week. That was a pretty beefy episode. Hopefully you don't mind that this was a little bit longer. I would love to get to more of like a week and a bit between episodes, but we'll just have to see. Like I said, day to day, I just don't know how things are going to go. So yeah, we'll see. I'll see you when I see you, but I hope you have a lovely weekend and probably the next week. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.